Yo, welcome people, my name's Alex and welcome to my channel on game development. In this video today we'll be talking about my game Robo Disposal, a game that I actually made in under 3 days. Made it for the Wowie Game Jam. If you don't know what a game jam is, it's when you're given an amount of time and you're given a topic and you've got to make the game about that topic in that amount of time. This game jam was actually hosted by Jonas Tyroller, another YouTuber, so shout out Jonas wherever you are. In this video I'm going to basically show you how I came up with the concept, how I actually made the game, kind of what went right, what went wrong, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it and can possibly use this information in your own games or in your next game jam. So let's get into it. Alright, so the theme of this game jam was intentional bugs. And with that in mind, I jumped on the phone to my brethren Harry, let him know what the topic was, and we both started brainstorming, and we ended up landing on this bomb disposal robot that was given the intentional bug that could feel pain. It's going to be like a 2D physics-based game, kind of inspired by like Getting Over It, that kind of feel. But our twist on the game was that you're going to be given an extendable arm that you can extend and retract. So with that in mind, I jumped into Unity, and of course did what everybody does, start off with some cubes. And we wanted the arm of the robot to follow the mouse, so I just wrote up a quick script to get that working. And while I was working on this, my mate Harry was coming up with the first prototype of the player. So once he had sent the player over to me, I just imported it into Unity, broke it up in the sprite editor, and then changed a few pivot points, and then tested the script out on the player. And it worked really well, so I was really happy with that. The next thing I had to work on was obviously the extendable arm. So my plan for the extendable arm was just to move it along one of its axes and possibly just scale up the middle part and just make it look like the arm is stretching. There's a little bit of an issue. As you can see, the arm is capped with black lines, and we just need to get rid of those. So I just spoke to my mate Harry and just told him what the requirements I need, like just arms that could be scaled. I did try to do it with the line renderer, and it did kind of work at first, but there was quite a few issues with the colliders. So I thought, you know what, let me just go back to actually trying to scale the arm instead. So my mate Harry actually sent the updated player to me, and I was able to scale the arms. And then what I did was I put an empty game object at the end of my arm, so as I scale, it always stays at the end of my arm, and that is represented by that blue dot. So now I can scale it up and it doesn't look strange, and the end of the arm has a reference position. Okay, so now you can see I kind of got that working, but unfortunately there's an issue with the colliders still, so I'm still going to require some more work. But before the day is over, I thought I'd just finish up with working on the animations for the tracks of the player. So I just created some movement animations just by rotating each of the cogs within the track and then just changing the curve of the animation so it played at a constant speed rather than slowing down and speeding up. So I started off day 2 by continuing to work on the colliders of the arms. As the collider and the arm had to be resized as the arm extends, I just had to play around with some code until I got them lining up and kind of just matching up. I thought it was time to get the movement working, so I just wrote up a little script for the movement. I thought it was time to test out the animations that I did yesterday in game, so I tested them out and they looked pretty good, so I was happy with those. So I just moved on to actually getting the camera to follow the player. Just wrote up a quick script, and yeah, it worked pretty good, so I was happy with that. So then I moved on to actually testing the extendable arm and the player movement together in an environment. So I just started off with some more cubes, and it was kind of annoying me that the hands were kind of sliding everywhere, so I added some friction to the hands and started off with a value of 10, but that didn't seem really to do much. So then I put it up to 100. That also didn't seem to be doing too much, so I thought, hey, let me put this up to 100,000 million. Yeah, it caps at 100,000, but for some reason that also didn't seem to do much. Next, I just wrote up a script so that the arm would always rotate to match the surface that it lands on. So if you can see, it kind of gives that kind of like procedural animation kind of feel, but yeah, that doesn't seem to be working. But with a little change in the code, it's working great. So now when the player puts its hand down, it matches the same rotation as the object it lands on. So next I went on working on the health system for the player, and then just a simple damage detection script so that I could place this on different parts of the body and get different damage amount. I thought it would be a cool idea that if when the player died, the player broke up into a bunch of pieces, so I just made a little destructible version of the player. I needed a way to show that the player died, so I just downloaded the cartoon effects particle pack from the asset store and then just found one of the explosions, and it looks really good, so I was like, you know what, that's perfect for this. And I found one for the bomb exploding, just hooked that up into script and then gave that a test, and I was really happy with the results. And I actually came across this bug here where I could still control the extendable arm, and I thought, you know what, this would make a brilliant game in itself, but unfortunately that was not what we were going for. But that was all for day 2. So far I didn't actually have that much time to work on the game, and it's day 3 and I got a whole lot of work to do. So I started off by implementing the bomb that my mate Harry drew. I also started working on the UI that displays when you die, and I just wrote up a quick game controller script so that when you died the level was able to restart. So it just counts down 3, 2, 1 and then the level restarts. And I worked on the UI that displays when detonating the bomb. Next thing I did was work on a bomb collision detection script so that when the player gets close it detects that the player within range. If the player press E, it explodes. I was quite happy with how it looks all together. It's not quite there, but almost. Just a few changes and that'll work perfectly. While I was working on this stuff, my mate Harry had been working on some more artwork, so he'd given me the background and then just some few other bits just to use in the level. So like a crate and then these roadblocks and a little cactus. So just throwing them together, just, you know, started trying to come up with the first level designs just to test, you know, kind of what the gameplay would be like, what you'd have to do. And it seemed fun, some kind of wonky controls, and it was kind of infuriating. Sometimes you fell back over. So I thought it was time just to really start working on the level design. Worked on the first prototypes of levels, and I thought, you know what, if you've got these crates and they're next to the bomb, they need to be able to explode. So I made a destructible crate in a similar way to that I made the player, which is basically you just add rigid bodies and colliders to all of the pieces. So I wrote up a script for the bomb explosion, which basically just plays the bomb explosion particles and disables the bomb game object and basically loops through all colliders within a certain radius and turns them from kinematic rigid bodies to dynamic rigid bodies and applies some force. And one of the last things I had to do was get audio into the game, and once I had that all added into the game I was actually really happy with it. Found some background music online, was really happy with that as it really suited the game, and together I was really quite blown away with how it all worked, especially with the arm extending and retracting. I thought it worked really well, and with the bomb explosion and everything and the explodable crates, I thought, you know what, this isn't half bad. So right now the game was looking a little bit flat, so I thought it was time to add some post-processing into the mix, to add some bloom and some vignette, and I think that really helped to get the colours of the game popping just that little bit more. And then I started working on the few different levels, and I just added the functionality to the game controller so I could load each of the levels, and I just worked on a final ending screen and just thanks to the player. And yeah, I was really quite happy with how this game turned out. Unfortunately I didn't have too much time and it was almost coming up to the time to submit, so I just started playing through the game, just kind of getting a feel for if it was achievable. I mean, I managed to complete the game within 15 minutes, but obviously this was after playing it for like 3 days essentially, so I was really quite good with it. And unfortunately, after reading some of the feedback on the game, I thought not everybody was able to complete the game, which was quite annoying for me as a game developer. So 2 big lessons for game jams is make sure that your controls are easy to pick up, because the majority of people are only going to play your game for 5 to 10 minutes. And then the second tip, don't punish the players too hard for getting things wrong, or there should be a gradual increase to the hard punishment, because that can also turn people off if they find that they're just dying too quickly. So overall I'd say this game jam was rather successful, and I was really happy with actually just getting a game done and submitted on time. Yeah, it was still a great experience. I had a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend you to get involved in a game jam if you haven't before. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think about the game, and yeah, subscribe for more content. Cheers.